Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And you are tuned in to the Connected Packaging Summit. So we've just had some fantastic speakers today. So a big thank you to those who listened in. You would have heard Eissa just now from Tetra Pak. And earlier on, we had Vivka from TTE Strategy. Vivka told us a little bit on how to get started and the strategy behind it. And we also now just heard from Eissa, and he was telling us about how they're doing things in Tetra Pak. So thanks a lot for that. This session is an interactive session that we've got up next. We're going to be looking at innovation. We will be welcoming Ramy, Tarek, Eissa to the stage, and we will be looking at together what is innovation and how do we keep ahead of the curve. Welcome, Ramy. Hello to you.
Hello, Jenny. How are you?
Very well, thank you. To get started, we are just asking our panelists a little bit to share with us a little bit, a fun fact about yourself that not many people know.
So two fun facts mainly about myself. Big fan of horror movies, and if I'm not in the marketing field, so probably I'm going to be a full-time chef.
A full-time chef, okay.
Yeah.
So a musician, a dog trainer, and a full-time chef. Love it. We're building quite a team. So brilliant. Let's get kicked off. My first question to you is a very simple one. I'm sure you'll give us a comprehensive overview. What really is innovation?
So basically, let me split this question into two pieces. The first one, what is product innovation and what is process innovation? So basically, product innovation is solutions or creative solutions that companies and entrepreneurs provide in a form of products and services from a category point of view. This is the definition of product innovation. However, on the other side, process innovation is using digital technology and application, enhancing an existing business process or an overall customer experience. So this is, on a nutshell, the overview of what is innovation.
Thank you. Yes, in a nutshell. Good. What about types of innovation? What do you see that's currently trending? Is there anything particular that's impressed you recently, or any examples that you could share?
So basically, there are two main core types of innovation. The first one is called radical innovation, and the second one is called incremental innovation. Radical innovation is basically new product in the market, never existed before. Giving an example on that, when Martin Cooper 40 years ago invented the first portable mobile phone with Motorola. On the other side, incremental innovation, the word incremental means the business evolvement of an existing product. Giving an example on this, when Steve Jobs unveiled the first iPhone 2007. Let me tell you also that there are two strategies of innovation. The first one is called the first mover strategy. The second one is called the second mover strategy. They both come with advantages and disadvantages, but it depends on the category. The first mover advantage, of course, first one entered to the market, quick market gains. If we're talking about food and beverages, acquiring taste, stuff like that. If we're talking about the second mover, someone come in the second place with the same proposition, but enhanced one. And taking an example on this, anything that comes after the first entry.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything in particular that you've seen recently that's kind of made you go, wow, that's some fantastic innovation? It might be a marketing campaign, or it might be product innovation. Is there anything that you've gone, that's a brilliant example?
So nowadays, what's trending and what's booming is, of course, robotics and artificial intelligence. And we're seeing a lot of robotics and artificial intelligence, for example, with Netflix, when it gives you a quick indication about how many people are watching this show at the moment, at this time. So this is artificial intelligence. They are using artificial brains with cognitive analysis to recognize how many people at the same time and the same location are watching this show. So this is the beauty of artificial intelligence, especially with innovation.
So why is it then that innovation is important? Why should a company be looking at innovation?
Basically, innovation, I call it's the blood life of any company. If you want to keep up with the market trends and you want to keep your progression as a company and have sustainable growth and acquire, of course, market share, acquiring market share, keeping on ahead of your industry, you need to consider innovation in your pipeline for sure. Let me also tell you that it's very important to keep up with the market trend and what's happening in the dynamics, because things are really changing fast nowadays. Back then in the days, we used to look at data from a different perspective. We used to look at the last 10 years, last 5 years. Now things are moving very fast, especially with the COVID-19, with these kind of pandemics, a lot of recessions happening. So things change. We need to look at data from a different perspective and very fast as well.
Mm-hmm. So I think that brings us to our interactive poll. So if we can get on the screen our interactive poll, this is a question for our audience, but Ramy, you can vote also. The question is innovation high on the agenda at your current business? So it's either a yes or a no answer. Is innovation high on the agenda at your current business? So while that runs out, I'll also give the audience a reminder that this is an open session as well. So QA is open. If you have any questions for Ramy, then I'm sure he'll be happy to help and answer your questions. The progress on our poll, we'll give it another few seconds, but it looks pretty clear to me. We've got 94% of people saying that innovation is high on the agenda at your current business. So that's good. That means businesses are thinking about innovation and ways to be different. What would you say around that? I mean, Ramy, there's quite a lot of examples of innovation being high on the agenda, but perhaps companies that might be struggling with actually getting innovation out there, or perhaps being able to evaluate the success of innovation.
Basically, we have a lot of examples in history proven that companies that they didn't innovate, they are dead. And giving an example on that, we have Kodak, we have Nokia, we have a lot of people and a lot of players that they started very big and they ended up dying because they didn't put innovation in the first place and they didn't have them on the pipeline. So it's very important to do innovations, and it's very important to have it in your pipeline. It's without it, you're not going to survive as a company or as an entrepreneur.
Why do you think innovation is so hard? I mean, obviously, Kodak's a fantastic example when talking about innovation and huge companies, and the example of what can happen if you don't innovate. Why do you think innovation is so hard?
So a proper innovation, it requires two main things. The first one is the research. The second one is the investment, and they are very hard as well. Both. Not only the quick research or the normal research, qualitative and quantitative analysis, but nowadays we have a lot of tools, a lot of advanced tools that can even predict the occasions, the market share, volume projections, a lot of details. So when it comes to the research, we have to do the proper research and the deep analysis of doing this, because we know that a lot of companies that they didn't do the proper research and they ended up losing money and losing a lot of investments. And the other side is the investment for sure, because when it comes to the innovations, you need to buy machines, you need to buy artwork, like material for the artwork. You need to push a lot of money and invest a lot of money in these things. So if the proper research are not done correctly, then you're wasting your money and you will end up delisting and discontinuing this SKU or this range. So it's very important to spend a good time on proper deep analysis. And there is a lot of tools nowadays that can give you projections on what's happening and how successful can your launch be. So these are the main two things that I consider are very important. That's why it's very hard without these two things.
Thank you. We've got some questions coming in now. So anybody else who wants to send some questions, we've got obviously the QA open. So Ramy, one of the questions here is, what are the main reasons why innovative projects fail? Sometimes they go to market and they fail. Have you got any reasons as to why that might happen?
It's all about the product market fit, 100%. You need, as we just mentioned, is the proper research. If you ask customers on a qualitative, on a quantitative analysis, we're assuming the qualitative analysis, what do you want? Customers, they don't answer what they want correctly, because when they answer you with an emotional perspective and they don't consider the rational perspective. So it's very important. That's why when you ask customers, what do you want? They don't know what they want. So that's why we are considering two things, which is the rational aspects and the emotional aspects on any research that we're doing. So the research is the key for any success. If you've done the proper research, deep analysis, not just following qualitative analysis and these kind of stuff, but there are a lot of tools nowadays, digital tools that we can use, that we can predict the future, how much volumes that we can do, how many market share that we can acquire, numeric distribution, weighted distribution, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very important to dig inside and do the deep analysis before considering any innovation, because at the end of the day, you don't want to launch a product at the end of it and then discontinue the product. So that's the thing.
Definitely. Another question coming in, they're coming in quite thick and fast. Can innovation be forced, or is it always an outcome of inspiration and creativity?
Sometimes it's forced, like, let's be honest, but of course, if it's coming from creativity, this is the best thing. But some companies, they force innovation because other companies are doing this, so we can do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, these will come back to the types of innovation. What kind of innovation are you doing? Is it radical innovation or it's an incremental innovation? So depends on the company's strategy and the company's structure. So that's the thing. It can be forced sometimes, yes, but you have to look at the positive side of it and to take advantage of everything that you're doing.
Another question in from the audience. You talked about projections. Are there any particular tools that you can use for projections?
There are a lot of tools like in the market. The one that I prefer the most is Nielsen Basis, which gives you a quite indication about the projections for the volumes, market share, numeric distribution, weighted distribution, and so on and so forth. This is from a bigger scale perspective. If it's a startup or it's a small company and they want to just see the product, if it fits the market or not, they have another tools. They can go to like doing ads on the digital and see some kind of the CTR percentage, VTR percentage, click-through rate, video-through rate, and see, like, just it will give you a small indication if you don't have the tools to use Nielsen Basis.
To give you some sort of insight into how the market's reacting to it. No, that makes good sense. Somebody else has come back to the innovation question around force. How have you seen companies forcing innovation? Or are there any common practices, or have you been involved in any techniques?
Let's not talk about politics here, but of course we've seen in the past a lot of forcement towards a couple of things that we need to launch, of course. But as I told you, you need to look at the positive side of it, and you need to put your creativity on it. Of course, I'm sure that you're gonna do something great.
Great. Then I think if we just look back now into some of the experience that you've had at Nestle, for example, you were obviously working around innovation. How would they kind of look to see whether something was successful or bring something to market? Is there an example of something that you can talk us through?
So basically, the first point is we need to identify as a company, you need to identify what's your KPIs and what's your OKRs, what's your key performance indicators, and what are your objective key results. Once you set these points, you will understand, okay, what do we want to do and what do we want to achieve from this innovation? Do we want this innovation to be our cash cow? Do we want this to be this product to be our price fighter? Do we want this, we need to set the KPIs to see, okay, what kind of things that we can achieve from this range that we are launching as well. Once we have this criteria, we have it on hand, then we set something called pre-launch evaluation, launch evaluation, and post-launch evaluation. These kind of three things. Pre-launch evaluation, which setting all the metrics that we need to see, how many market share that we want to achieve, how many revenues that we want to do, percentage of awareness that we want to achieve, retention of the trialists that try the product, loyalty as well. So these fundamentals must be there, depends on each company's criteria. And then when it comes to the launch evaluation, we just step here and stop and see, okay, everything is going on, or we have market recession, we have pandemic, we have these kind of stuff, so we can, adjust the things that we have put in previously. If everything is okay and everything is correct, then let's move to the post launch evaluation, which is evaluating the KPIs that we had put in the beginning and see, okay, are we online? Are we going okay? Or we need some adjustments. Sometimes we need some adjustments in the product itself. So that's the criteria that we used to follow.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you know that the market is ready for new innovation? You talked a little bit about, doing some digital ads. But is there anything else? Would you kind of get focus groups together or go on to the street and do some market research? Or is there any other way that you could think of?
100%. There's a lot of things that you have to do, not only using the digital tools, but I mean, you have to start with qualitative, quantitative analysis. This is in the first place. After having the first acceptance from the customers, then you go to the second place, which is using the first step is qualitative and quantitative analysis. Then the second step is, this is just seeing how effectiveness is the launch and how there is a potential from a customer point of view. The second part is using the digital tools to have more advanced analytics about, okay, what is the occasions that the customer is going to use my product in, what's the projections, deep projections, things that we want to see. Then the last thing is seeing, okay, using other digital tools as well, like CTR percentage, VTR percentage, seeing how effectiveness are the communication will be as well, and which kind of communication tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using digital performance. I'm going to be using trade marketing. I'm going to be using brand ambassadors, advocates for the brand. So you need to see, based on your KPIs, what kind of tools that you'll be using as well.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that somebody who might be listening, wanting to try and encourage some innovation in the organisation or within their team, for example, have you got any tips on how they could be encouraging team members or the organisation to think about innovation?
I believe it always starts internally. You need to build brand advocates, which internally, these advocates or these influencers will influence the company and the board members and all the stakeholders, because you don't want to be presenting an innovation and you have like some people are pushing back your ideas. So first, engage with other employees, make them involved in your criteria and the way you're thinking. Then let them be your influence and let them be your advocates that can then defend you when you're presenting. Because the common thing that we always have is when you go and you propose your idea, everyone is pushing back. So the best thing is get people involved, let them be the advocates that can defend you, and they will be the influence internally before getting your idea externally as well.
That's really, that's a really interesting point, because it also kind of goes back to what Vibka was saying in our first session, where she was talking about it really does depend on the people power as well. And I think that's what you're saying, one of the probably biggest reasons, if I understand you correctly, that an innovation might fail is that it might never get any further than the first conversation within your internal team.
Exactly, 100%. So everything starts from internally, get people involved, let them get excited, then take the next move. Because sometimes when you get your idea to the board members, to the stakeholders, to all the management team, you get a lot of resistance and you don't want to face this. So the best thing is get people engaged, get them involved in the process so they can be the ones that defend you and defend the product in the meetings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So build your advocates internally. A question from the audience here. What was the most innovative project that you have been involved in?
The most innovative product that I've been involved is recently that I moved to Canada, so I'm involved in a very, very nice product. It's a tech platform. It's called Genies, and basically this tech platform it's serving the people in need, but not with cash donations, but with products and services. So it's something new for me. I'm very excited about it, and I think this is a very unique proposition that not only giving cash donations, but giving back to people meaningful donations, which is way powerful than just giving a cash donation. So this is a project I've been involved. It's my second month here in Canada, so I'm very excited about it, and I think it's a very unique proposition.
Big move going to Canada. Brave.
Yeah. It's a big move, different story, different industry, but I mean, I love challenges, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I mean, a lot of the people that we've got listening today are in big companies, similar to Nestle, large global corporations. In terms of acceptance, in terms of being able to be listened to, I know you talk about, getting your internal team or your internal advocates behind you, but are there, especially, I mean, Nestle, obviously you've got the experience there, but are there particular channels or particular ways for people who might be interested in innovation, potentially outside their roles as a side project? Is there something in Nestle that helps encourage that, or is there anything you could talk around in terms of encouraging people that are listening to try and work on those types of things?
Definitely, Nestle is one of the companies that they drive a lot of innovation, and they are willing to listen. What kind of stuff do you have? And honestly, my experience with Nestle was very good in terms of, okay, if you have an idea, you can propose it to the management team, and they always listen to you, and they always like give you like, you know, full-fledged ear to hear what kind of a position. But I mean, it's always depending how are you proposing your idea. If you're not coming with the real numbers and you're doing the proper research and you have the analysis with you and just proposing an idea, because when we see a lot of people proposing customer loyalty programs, trade loyalty programs, but they don't, you know, they see the sequence and the flow and they don't propose it the right way. So if you are proposing it the right way, of course, the doors will be open to you. I mean, I'm sure that any company is they want to achieve the market, to achieve the market gains, and they want to acquire more customers. So that's the thing.
But prepare properly what you want to bring,
Exactly.
is what you're saying there, and then see if you can get some internal supporters to help you bring that case. That sounds like
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely some good advice. We're here talking about innovation. We're at the Connected Packaging Summit. So I was just wondering if you had any ideas around innovation within connected packaging. Where do you think that could go? What do you think the future is? Where do you think innovation has the space to move in the connected packaging world?
I think you guys are doing a great job, and also of course, you and all the team, and also bringing good, really, really good panelists. So I think innovation can take a big place, because we just covered the overall 360 point of view of innovation, but there are a lot of things that we can dig into it in terms of process innovation and how can it be effective for reducing the costs, and even in the packaging. And there is a lot of ways that we can innovation can be implemented, all the way from the trade marketing to the sales to all the way until the packaging and execution. So I think innovation can be a big thing, and innovation is already the next big thing. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point there, because connected packaging has got so many different assets to it, you know, improving the efficiency. If we are able to tell from when a product was purchased to when it turned up into the consumer's hands. Alessio was talking about ways that connected packaging can help with innovation in terms of logistics and efficiency. And then we might be talking about it from an advertising point of view and being able to understand the market better. In fact, maybe it's a way that you could do some of that market research, you know, where you talked about kind of testing the market to see if they liked a particular idea. Obviously, connected packaging can be used for that, and, you know, give you that kind of feedback from the market. And then I think you talked about track and trace or traceability as well. So there's loads of different areas there in which innovation can kind of take place. In your opinion, which one do you think is going to move faster across those kind of different areas? So you've got the marketing and advertising, logistics, efficiency, sales. Is there any in particular place that you think might move faster than others?
I think the process innovation can take a big part, because with process innovation, you get enhance the business process and be more relevant in terms of efficiency, and also reducing the costs. So process innovation is the next big thing, because it simply makes our life as a company easier. So that's the thing.
Is there anything that you could recommend in terms of resources for people who might want to, you know, be creative and think about innovation? Are there any books or YouTube videos or TED Talks or anything like that you could recommend?
Yeah, sure. I can give a quick tip. Try to think about three creative ideas per day and write them down. Do this for the next 60 days, and after 60 days, I believe you're going to be a machine when it comes to innovation. So you're going to be like a machine thinking. Whenever anyone wants anything, loyalty program, you boom, trade customer program, boom, everything. So that's the thing. Think about 3 different ideas and write them down every day for the next 60 days.
60 days. So for the next 2 months.
Exactly.
Fantastic. That's a really good tip. I like that. And then of course it's about practicing, isn't it? I suppose you could say that creativity is a bit like that muscle. So the more you practice it, the more that ideas can come quicker. So
100%.
That's
100%. Your cognitive analysis will be so much advanced than everyone else if you just train your mind to be able to create 3 creative ideas per day and write them down. So you're going to be like a machine. So that's the tip.
Creating machines. I love it. I love it. We've kind of come to the end of our session. I don't know if you've got any other particular tips or anything else that you'd want to share in terms of people who want to get involved in innovation and creativity.
I want to thank you, of course, for the amazing session, and I want to tell everyone that please stay connected with the Connected Packaging, because these guys are really doing a great job. Thank you so much for hosting me.
Thanks to you, Ramy. Thanks a lot.